All right, welcome back, technicians. Today we are diving deep into what I like to call the engine room of any wireless network, the radio frequency settings. These are the knobs and dials that can make the difference between a network that flies and one that's a source of constant frustration. So let's get right into it.
Now, just so we're all on the same page, this is part 5 of our big 10-part series. We're breaking down a super detailed report from the pros at RFI Detectives, who are part of Virtualization Options LLC. Today, it's all about the juicy stuff in Chapter 5, the RF settings.
And speaking of that report, everything we're talking about today is pulled directly from their massive 2026 study. So this isn't just theory. It's a solid, field-tested foundation that you can actually use out on the job.
Okay, let's kick things off. The secret to really mastering RF settings isn't about memorizing a textbook. Nope, it's all about understanding that you're constantly performing this delicate balancing act.
And this right here, this is the core idea for today. Every single choice you make, every choice, from the frequency band all the way down to transmit power, it comes with a trade-off. Your real skill as a technician, your art, is looking at an environment and striking that perfect balance for that specific deployment.
So let's start at the beginning with the biggest and most fundamental decision you've got to make. We're going to start at the macro level, bands and channels, before we start drilling down into the nitty-gritty details.
What I love about this is how clearly it lays out that first big trade-off. Take a look at 2.4 gigahertz. Yeah, it's got amazing range, it'll punch right through walls, but it's like living in a super crowded, noisy neighborhood where everyone's shouting and you only have 3 usable channels. Then you jump over to 5 and 6 gigahertz. The range isn't as great, sure, but you get way more speed and this huge, wide-open, clean space to operate in. Your first job is just picking the right tool for the environment. And hey, if you do decide 2.4 gigahertz is the right tool, then this rule is non-negotiable. Seriously, in North America, channels 1, 6, and 11 are the only ones you should ever use. If you pick anything in between, you're creating what's called overlapping interference. It just wrecks the performance, not just for your network, but for every single network around you. Please, don't be that technician.
Okay, so you've picked your band, you've picked your channel. What's next? Well, now it's time to fine-tune. And that brings us to 2 of the most commonly misunderstood settings out there: channel width and transmit power.
I want you to think of channel width like lanes on a highway. A wider channel, say 80 or 160 megahertz, that's like an 8-lane superhighway. You can get insane speeds. But just like a real highway, the wider it is, the more likely you are to pick up junk, interference. So in really dense places, like an office or a crowded apartment building, sticking to narrower 20 or 40 megahertz channels is often the smarter play. It's that classic battle. Do you want raw, blistering speed, or do you want rock-solid stability?
All right, let's tackle a big one. When you're setting up a new access point, what's your first instinct? For a lot of us, it's to just crank that transmit power all the way to max, right? More power, more coverage. Seems logical. But is it really the best move?
Well, the folks at RFI Detectives put it perfectly. And this is a direct quote. Your gut might be telling you one thing, but setting that power to max is honestly one of the most common mistakes people make. It feels right, but it can kick off a whole chain reaction of problems.
And here's why. Cranking up the power just creates a ton of interference, making your own APs basically shout over each other. Even worse, it causes sticky clients. You've seen these, a laptop that's clinging for dear life to an AP way down the hall, even though there's a perfectly good one right over its head. The goal isn't just to blast out a signal. The real goal is to balance coverage with capacity. And sometimes, believe it or not, turning the power down is the secret to a much better network.
Now, let's shift gears and talk about a pretty specific scenario, one that every pro tech really needs to understand, especially if you're working a lot in the 5 gigahertz band.
And that is dynamic frequency selection, or DFS for short. So what is it? Well, it's basically a feature that unlocks a huge chunk of less crowded channels in the 5 gigahertz band. Sounds great, right? But there's a catch. We have to share that space with really important stuff like weather and military radar. And here's how that sharing works in practice. Before an AP can even use one of these special DFS channels, it has to listen completely silently for a full minute just to make sure the coast is clear. Then, if at any point it detects a radar signal, it is legally required to drop that channel immediately and jump to a new one. Now, for your users, that means a short temporary network outage. It's another trade-off, isn't it? You get access to all this extra spectrum, but you run a small risk of these radar-triggered interruptions.
Okay,
So we've covered a lot of ground: bands, channels, width, power, even DFS. Let's try to pull all of this together. What's the big picture takeaway you should carry with you into the field?
At the end of the day, it really comes down to these 4 core balancing acts. Every RF decision you make is a choice. Are you prioritizing range or are you prioritizing speed? Are you going for maximum throughput or maximum resilience against interference? Is it all about raw coverage or is it about overall network capacity? Do you need more spectrum or do you need absolute, uninterrupted stability? These are the questions you should be asking yourself on every single job.
And that pretty much wraps it up. So I'll leave you with this final thought. As you head out to your next deployment, your next install, I want you to think about what we just discussed. Based on all this, which one of these RF settings are you going to look at with fresh eyes? Which trade-off are you going to reevaluate to really push that network's performance to the next level? Thanks for tuning in.